Greetings, my Legionnaires! From time to time during my various encounters with games, movies, and other shows, I come across an exceptionally lethal and menacing foe. To overcome such an enemy, one must first know thy enemy. Thus, I've decided to highlight and dissect each individual's backstories, powers, and accomplishments to see if they earn a spot as a Legion legend. For this episode, I'll be discussing the shadowy shotgunner from Overwatch, known only as Reaper. Reaper's story is one drenched in equal parts blood and lack of acknowledgement. The man behind the mask is Gabriel Reyes. Born in Los Angeles, California, and eventually becoming a senior officer of the United States Armed Forces, Gabriel would later go on to lead the United Nations assembled group Overwatch. An uprising of robots, known as Omnics, began terrorizing the world in an event known as the Omnic Uprising. To oppose this threat, a team of highly intelligent scientists, odd experiments, and skilled combatants were tasked with quelling the rise of these metal monstrosities. Reyes, along with Jack Morrison, were handpicked for the group. Both men were formerly of America's Soldier Enhancement Program, which imbued them with unnatural speed and strength. Initially, Reyes was given command of Overwatch, but Morrison would be remembered, and eventually promoted, for his ability to lead the other members to victory. After defeating the Omnics, Jack Morrison was officially appointed Strike Commander, making him the first truly official leader of Overwatch. Despite being passed over for a leadership role in the team, Reyes went on to form a covert ops squad that would operate where Overwatch could not, serving in the shadows of the luminous glow cast by the Sterling organization. This entity would be known as Blackwatch, and would eventually be accused of kidnapping, weapons proliferation, and assassination, amongst other things. The methodology of this shady division would inevitably draw the ire of the UN, which led to the downfall of Overwatch. During his time as the leader of this enigmatic division, Reyes would go on to recruit Jesse McCree, a former member of the Deadlock Gang, to carry out missions under the radar, so to speak. McCree's aptitude with a revolver and quick thinking drew Reyes' gaze, and for McCree it was either Blackwatch or a cell in a maximum security prison. While Reyes carried out missions away from the main team in Overwatch, tensions began to mount between him and the Strike Commander. A civil war broke out amongst the members of both Overwatch and Blackwatch, with Reyes leading the rebellion against Morrison. This struggle resulted in the downfall of the agency and an explosion that supposedly claimed the lives of both leaders. While this catastrophe would mark the end of Gabriel Reyes, it gave birth to something much more sinister in Reaper. The new mantle that Reyes took up upon the fall of Overwatch, Reaper is one of the most deadly mercenaries on the planet. His goal is simple: hunt down and eliminate former members of Overwatch, including its former leader, Jack Morrison. He arrives cloaked in a black coat and wearing a mask reminiscent of that of a barn owl skull. My most knowledgeable scholar informs me that the significance of that mask most likely has ties to that of Mexican folklore. In that particular culture, an owl is attributed with being a representative from the land of the dead. The ties of this myth go deeper still, in that Reaper's ability to teleport may be a direct nod to the dark messengers owls are seen as, for example. Even his ghostly form as he glides across the battlefield could be associated with an owl in flight. Adorned with his Hellfire shotguns, Reaper's visage, ruthlessness, and ferocity would soon be known the world over. Reaper's abilities and combat knowledge make him quite the foe. His time in the United States military afforded him with years of strategic battle planning capability, while this soldier enhancement program would allow him to complete missions a regular soldier wasn't capable of. After the explosion that signified the end of Overwatch, Reaper gained new abilities allowing him to become even deadlier. The aforementioned talent to teleport and to turn into smoke, referred to as Shadow Step and Wraith form respectively, make Reaper both an infiltrator and an unstoppable aggressor. His most iconic move, however, is the Death Blossom. Reaper fires wildly in all directions and unloads both of his Hellfire shotguns in a whirling dervish of chaos. This particular maneuver can decimate multiple foes, but typically requires the use of either his Shadow Step or Wraith form to strike from an unknown angle. The final ability that Reaper has displayed thus far is his gift to consume the life force of any foe he's defeated or is nearby at the time of their demise. This might play into the fact that Reaper's cells are in a constant state of growth and decay after an alleged genetic alteration operation. Stories detail that his victims are returned as white husks whose cells have been severely degraded. Upon collecting said life force, Reaper is able to mend any battle wounds he has received. Although reports of true immortality aren't documented, Reaper has survived certain attacks that would have killed most other Overwatch members outright. His varying feats in battle, survival, and infiltration are impressive. The first being that he survived the decimation of Overwatch headquarters in Switzerland that leveled the entire facility. On a few occasions, he has even successfully broken into and escaped heavily fortified locations, albeit with help. With a group of Talon soldiers, Reaper assaulted Watchpoint Gibraltar and attempted to steal a comprehensive list of former Overwatch agents. Although unsuccessful, Reaper did manage to flee after being seemingly disintegrated by Winston's Tesla cannon. Upon facing Winston a second time, he was able to temporarily subdue the genius gorilla with his trademark Death Blossom. Alongside Widowmaker and Sombra, Reaper engaged multiple enemies at Volskaya Industries in Russia. After taking a hit from one of the factory's giant mech suits, Reaper was able to successfully destroy the machine single-handedly. He's even bested Soldier 76, previously known as Jack Morrison, in hand-to-hand combat, and was able to slip past the old soldier's awareness upon his initial assault. While Reaper is a frightening foe, he rarely seems to succeed in his missions against other former Overwatch personnel. This can more often than not be attributed to teamwork. Ana Amari, a former sharpshooter, was there to save Soldier 76 from a gruesome end, and the combined might of Tracer and Winston prevented both Widowmaker and Reaper from retrieving the Doomfist gauntlet. Surprise tactics seemed to be effective against him as well. Winston displayed this when he detonated a shield device that led to Reaper's defeat. Even so, Reaper manages to escape every time, be it by turning into smoke or using a grenade launcher to cover his retreat. Reaper is both iconic and terrifying. His abilities to maim and permeate both individuals and installations alike make him stand out from amongst other mercenaries. His somewhat tragic backstory and ties to the mythological add extra layers to an already interesting individual. For all those reasons and more, Reaper is our very first Legion legend. There you have it, Legionnaires, our very first inductee to the Legion Legend Hall of Fame. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Reaper. If you enjoyed this show, feel free to join our ranks by subscribing to our channel or by donating to us on Patreon. Thanks so much for stopping by, and remember to adapt and overcome.